Entire screen. Test, test. Good, good. Sorry, buddy. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. Looks like we got someone from Clearwater, Florida on. Anybody want to say hi? Share where they're at? I'm sharing the screen right now. And I do have a question. If you want to just make sure you can see the screen, I'd appreciate it. Just let me know. You can type it in there on the chat box, or you can actually just, yell into your microphone and let me know you can actually see it. Let's see here. I'm going to unmute that person. The person from Clearwater, I can't hear you. Are you still there? I am not hearing you for some reason. And you're not muted. I'm going to check my settings really quick, and then we will get started. Dun, dun, dun. Where's my settings? I wonder if my sound got opted through inputs there, internal speakers. Let me try something really quick. I'm a nerd, so I know all this stuff should work. Sometimes it messes up on you. All right. All right. Go away. Okay, so let's see. Can you hear me? 1, 2, 3. Want to make sure you can hear me. And if you're still on from Clearwater, if you can say anything, I'm going to test my microphone and my headset just to see if I can actually hear you. I don't know if I can or not. Yeah, now I can hear you. How are you doing? Oh, technology. It's always, let's go with a positive word. Joy? I've got a microphone which is supposed to make me sound better, and for some reason it was sending the sound through it and not my internal speakers. So yeah, sometimes, like, I've been a nerd for a long time, so I kind of know sometimes when it's not going right. Usually it means you just need to take a step back and go, what did you just change? What did you actually, what happened, just recently. Yeah, let me mute my phone before I get any more dumb messages. More technology for you. So, okay, cool. So let's kind of get started. I'm sorry, what was your name again? Okay, Carol, are you on the computer and can you see my screen? Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, well, I'll chime in every once in a while, and well, I will actually chime in the whole time. And if you have any questions, or if you want to get a lot more out of this, I do encourage participation, because there's a lot of times whenever we just start to ask ourselves the questions and we start like really digging in, I've seen the most light bulb moments when people start participating, and they really get a lot more value when they start getting feedback and start hearing some of their questions repeated back to them, or answers repeated back to them. So yeah, don't worry. Yep, don't worry about it. If it feels like you should ask a question, or you want to chime in, because the way I'll do this is I'm going to ask some questions, and if something comes to mind and you want to, just say, hey, this is what, that's the answer for me. So, okay, cool. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so this is the How to Discover Your Purpose in Life. I'm Bradley Thomas, and I want to tell everybody that is on why I'm actually doing this. And why I'm actually doing this is because I had the big house, the nice car, and all the stuff that you're supposed to have in the American dream. And I just came to the realization that it wasn't making me happy. And I mean, when I bought my house, it was being built. So it was, kind of customized, and um, it was super nice. And I kind of miss it a little bit, but not that much. And so anywho, I filled it up with all this IKEA stuff. And then I had just this moment where I looked down and I said, this isn't making me happy. And I also realized at that moment too, that the work that I was doing wasn't making me happy either. And that started the introspection. Me started asking questions. What do I really want to do with the rest of my life? How do I want to give back? How do I want to make a difference? How can I feel more fulfilled in what I do? Like, all of those questions started coming up. And basically, I'll spare you the rest of the details of time, but I finally met with a life coach, and she pulled out of me that I was gaining all of my confidence from a big paycheck and not from within myself. And that made all the sense in the world to me, because I was just buying things and stuff to make myself feel better. And I was buying, all of this to actually get people to like me. I didn't consciously do that, but subconsciously that's what I was doing. And the subconscious, drives our mind a lot. And it was, wanting me to buy things. So if I bought this, and then I could have that, and then this person would like me, or the group of people would like me. So I've realized that now, and how I'm giving back to the world now is how to find your purpose, so you can actually use your gifts and talents to give back to the world and have that confidence come from you naturally, where it comes from already. But a lot of times we just get kind of stuck up in that. So if you're listening or watching this, and this is something that resonates with you, one, really pay attention and take some time out for yourself and get centered and pay attention. And, we're going to jump in, and I'm going to use my purpose of asking powerful questions and having a little fun at the same time to hopefully make a difference in some of your lives. So how do you actually discover your purpose? Well, one of the first things we can do, there's 7 questions. And what I'm going to do right now is just kind of tell you the overall process. And then we're going to dive actually into the process. And I actually have a worksheet. And if you're watching or listening to this, email me. And it's almost, the worksheet's actually done, but the new website's not up yet, and it will be soon. But email me at bradley@theartofchangeinyourlife.com and just say you want the How to Discover Your Life worksheet, and I'll send it to you. There's no obligation or anything like that. I've just, you can just walk through it yourself. It's self-explanatory, but going along with this webinar and doing the worksheet at the same time is a great idea, and it can be really impactful. So first, we're going to talk about your whys and what drives you in life. And once we go through those 7 questions are ways to shine the light on your personality and the underlying drivers in your life. And I like to think of it as each question is just another flashlight onto yourself on what lights you up, I guess, for lack of better terms. Once we find that, then we identify all of those whys, and we kind of pick the commonalities out. And we put those aside for a moment, and then we go to step 2, which is identifying your values in life. And I've got a worksheet, the second step on this, which lists a whole bunch of different values. And if there's one on there that doesn't, if there's one on there that's missing, feel free to add it in. It's not an exhaustive list or has everything, but it's most of what people value in their life. And each of these are going to be rated different for everybody. So it's a really personal process. So take the time to actually go through and rate these from a scale of 5 to 1, 5 being the most important in your life, and 1 being, and it's just not important to me. So then once you have all of those values ranked, and I say to take the top 7 values, then from there, we're going to take your whys in life and then your values, and we're going to mix them to create a statement called your life purpose statement or your lifestyle statement. And that is really the process. And once you have that statement, what you'll have is a way to overlay any big decision in your life, that if something comes up and if you're not sure if it's the right way to go for you, you can say, okay, here's my life purpose statement. Does this actually align with who I am and what drives me in life? And if it's a maybe or a slightly yes, maybe it's just time to explore it a little bit. But if your gut feeling says it's a hell no, then don't do it. Even if it sounds really cool, but if it just doesn't align, it's probably not meant to be. So I hope this helps, and please let me know any questions. Feel free to email me. I'm here to help. So let's kind of jump into this and go through step 1, how to discover your purpose. Okay, so what did you love to do as a kid? And throughout this whole thing, I'm just going to go through this in my, just kind of express my view of it. So just answer these, in your view, and we'll go from there. So what I did is, or what I actually loved to do, was I just loved helping others as a kid. I helped my mother raise a bunch of little toddlers because she ran a daycare out of her house. At one, I was in Boy Scouts. I thought at one point I was going to be a priest until puberty hit, and then that really didn't happen. So those were a lot of the common things that came up for me as I remember doing things as a kid. A lot of it revolved around helping others and feeling good when I did so. So the next step after that is to ask yourself, why did you actually enjoy doing that? So for me, it was literally because I like to see people smile. I also like to make people laugh, and it was just because I wanted to see others feel good. So I wrote those down, and whatever comes up for you is okay. There's no right or wrong here. So on to question 2. What do you want to be remembered for? Now, this one is really powerful, and also I have a belief that a lot of people go through life and they don't actually take the time or have the realization that they're actually going to die. And it's going to happen at some point, but we put it off, and sometimes we don't think it's going to happen. And the next thing you know, we're 80 or 90 years old, and we have a bunch of regrets for not doing the things that we really wanted to try to do in our lives. So this was a big driving force for me. And because my father passed away when I was young, that I want to be remembered for really helping others and empowering others to change their lives. Now, before I had this big realization and became a life coach, I didn't know this specifically, but I felt it throughout my life. And I always wanted to change people's mindsets and get them to be more positive and try new things. So that's, how I want to be remembered. And the question you ask after you list all of those is why. Why is that important? And for me, it's important to empower others because it's, again, important for me, to see that I'm helping others and making a difference. So you're already starting to see a thread in my life of me wanting to help others. So as you write these down, just kind of keep them in mind, and let's go on to question number 3. So question number 3 is a fun question. If, let's say, tomorrow you wake up and I tell you that I've deposited $5 million in your bank account, and in order to keep this $5 million, you have to do what you absolutely love. And keep in mind that unless you're unless you're this big world traveler and want to travel 24/7, that I've already given you permission to go travel the world for a little bit, but you have to come back and you have to do what you absolutely love. And you've already paid off your bills and you've helped out your family, and you've waken up the next day going, what next? Like, I don't want to travel anymore. Family's helped out. Everybody's good financially, and we're all good there. So what do you actually want to do for the rest of your life? So for me, a lot of it revolves around traveling and helping others at the same time. So I know I kind of crossed myself what I was just saying, but I am one of those people that actually want to go out and travel all the time and see the world. So, but not everybody does. So ask yourself, what would you do for the rest of your life that would light you up every single day? It's a hard question, but think about it. And then think about, why do you love doing that? Or why would you love doing that? I'm sure you've already done some of it in your life. And it just helps to actually sit down and really think about this and see where it can actually lead you. So on to question number 4. So question number 4 is, what pisses you off or makes you cry? And this one came up. I like to describe this one because it was one of my bigger aha moments in life. I was helping my mother rehab her house. And I gave her this gift for her 70th birthday. And I was in the midst of revamping the staircase. And I asked her just to help out, like hold something or swing a hammer, or I forget what it was. And my mom's not a handyman or a handy girl at all. She is the giver in the family and the baker and just the general awesome mom. But I wanted her to try to do something new, to expand and just to try something. And she didn't want to try it. And it really kind of ticked me off that she didn't want to. And I wasn't mad at her. I was just upset that she didn't want to try something, because it's really important to me that I realized that people try new things. That was an underlying thing for me. It's like, I just want people to try something new, because you never know how you're going to feel about it until you actually try. So that was a moment for me of like, wow, this shows up everywhere in my life. This is something that comes out, and I get excited when I actually get to help people try new things. So ask yourself why on that question. What kind of ticks you off, or what makes you cry? Sometimes it doesn't feel like you're pissed. It's just something that generally upsets you. And it's, that's okay, because there's something underneath there that you really care about. And that's what we want to discover in this process is, what do you really care about? Now ask yourself, why do you really care about that? And list that out. Okay. For myself, it was, again, caring about others and seeing them try, because I want to see them. I want to see others. I believe it's really important that people see different perspectives of life. I'm going to close my window. I'm starting to get blinded by the light here. So I think it's really important for people to see those different perspectives, because we can learn from everybody's experiences, good or bad. So write down, that those whys, and let's move on to question number 5. So question number 5 is, what projects do you get lost in? So for me, I got lost in projects of photography. And for about 10 years or so, I was really going after becoming a photographer. And I didn't realize until I started doing some of this internal processing work that this underlying pattern in my life, my purpose, was to help others see the best versions of themselves. And that was expressed with photographs, images that I got to help create and make people look their absolute best. And I also got to express my nerdiness and geekiness of playing with gadgets and stuff. So that was, my underlying why. And I just absolutely got lost within, doing photography projects. And I will incorporate that into my life coaching at some point. It will come back. I actually want to take some of my higher end clients, like take them to really cool locations and do a really cool photo shoot, once they accomplish something big in their life. That's a side note. But the idea here behind what projects do you get lost in? What are those projects that you forget about all time? You forget about eating, you forget about feeding the kids or feeding the dog. Everything else just disappears in your life. And you're just really enjoying, that project or that process of doing it. And then, why? Why do you love doing that? List that out. So, question number 6. So, question number 6 is kind of similar to question number 5, but it's like, what makes you smile? Or what are you passionate about? And they may be similar, but they're shining that light on your purpose from a different angle. And if we can see that perspective, even if we can see every side of it, you can really come up with the drivers in your life and really hone in on your purpose. So, what makes me smile is, helping others improve themselves. And I've always had this driving force for self-improvement. I've just been listening to self-help books for a long time and reading and digging in. And I now see like the career I'm in is just an extension of that, and that where I get to dig within myself and actually, learn more about myself while I'm helping others. So it's a win-win process, and it's really cool. So, what makes you smile? What are those moments that you just kind of sit back and you're like, that's really cool, or that I really enjoy that process, or I see X, Y, and Z, or that person, and it just makes me smile. Now think about it for a second and then ask yourself why. What is the underlying reason to that? Now, some of these, I've got a feeling that, whoever's listening or watching, sometimes these questions come up, or let me rephrase that, is that sometimes these questions take a little bit of time to actually come through. And I was giving this exact presentation a few weeks ago at a entrepreneurs, what would you call it, like center here in St. Louis. And one of the gentlemen, he said, do you expect us to answer all these questions like right now? And I hadn't thought about it. And then I realized, wow, it took me a little bit of time to actually answer these questions. So if you're feeling frustrated about answering all these questions, don't worry about it. It's come back to it. Ask your friends to help answer these for you. Make it a combined effort, and help each other come up with your purposes. Purpose. Grammar is not my purpose. So what I wanted to express is that just take some time to do this. And if it doesn't come up, move on to the next question, or, come back to it later. So what makes you smile? And, ask yourself why. So question number 7 is, what advice are you giving to your friends, or what advice are you giving to that stranger? Like when they start talking about, that certain topic, your mind just lights up and you're like, oh, I got to tell you about X, Y, and Z. You have to do it this way, or you should try this, and this, and this, because, oh my God, it was the best thing ever, and it really helped me do X, Y, and Z. So what is that for you? For me, in my story within that was, if I was at a party or anywhere engaged, and someone said to me, I can never do that because for example, I could never run a marathon. It isn't in me, and just, that's not who I am. And I would immediately say, well, not with that attitude. And I kind of did it from a smart aleck, way. But I did mean it. Like, you would never accomplish something if you thought you never could. So that's really what the advice I was always giving people. It was like, you should change your attitude around that, and you might actually be able to achieve the goal that you actually want to do. So, and the underlying why for me is like, I really believe you can change your mindset if you put a little time and effort into it. So, what advice are you always giving your friends, and why are you actually doing that? So that kind of wraps up step one. Let's go down to defining these. So you're going to have all of these, and you're going to have all of your whys listed out. And within those, start looking for the commonalities. Start looking for the common threads that show up. Start looking, for any way that they can be connected together. So a lot of mine, like empowerment and helping others, those are very close together. Travel and adventure, not so much. That's just an expression and something that I really love to do. Getting people to try things is tied back to 1 and 2. Helping others see the best version of themselves, that's still, helping others, and self-improvement, that's helping myself. And shifting people's mindsets to something more positive is all kind of tied in here together. So do this for yourself, and what are those common threads within there? There's no exact science here to really kind of hone this down. But you should start getting the feel of like, wow, this really drives me. Like, I really want to help people, or I really want to, help animals, or I really want to create cool code for a new website, or whatever it is. There's something there that's common. It's really hard to stop your purpose because you're doing it all the time. It just shows up differently, and sometimes we don't even realize that. And if we can hone in on it, get to really know it, get crystal clear on it, and then start telling others about it, that's when magic starts to happen. So let's go on to the values. So values, they're different for everybody. Everybody has, especially how they actually rank their values. And I'm going to just show you let's see here. I'm going to pull it up really quick. 1 second. Where did it go? Downloads. Page 2. Nope. Okay. So you're getting a sneak peek at the new worksheet here. So this is the actual worksheet. One of the final copies. And within this, you'll see I have all of these listed here. Like independence, challenge, feeling competent and capable. I'm not going to read every single one, but creative expression, physical activity, time freedom, status, spirituality, healthy lifestyle, time with family, adventure, money management, mental stimulation, pursuit of your hobbies, stability. So all of these are values. And what you're going to do is actually rank these from 5 to 1, and then take the top 7. And 7's not an exact science here. If you have like 10 number 5s, that's fine. List all of those because those are important to you. But when you look at them, see if there's anything overlapping with them, and also see if you can simplify those values, down to, if what I mean by that is if there's like 3 of them and they're all pretty much the same, see if you can come up with just one term and let them be within that. My example is, I'm a minimalist and I try to keep things very minimal and clean. But it's expressed on this sheet as simplicity. So just to let you know, like if these words don't show up for you or they don't resonate, see if there's another word that you might be able to replace it with that makes a little bit more sense for yourself. So, and then once you have all those values, write them on the sheet, and then we're going to go start mixing these to create a statement. So let me pull this up real quick. Okay, so for myself, my values, independence, creativity, exploration, community, continuing education, family, sustainability, and simplicity. Those were all of the words that were really important to myself. So now that I have all of those defined, you can actually start taking those and mixing those with your why, and we're going to come up with your purpose statement. So I'm kind of going a little bit fast here, but does anybody have any questions so far? All right. Okay, so how we actually craft these statements, or how you're actually going to craft this statement, is you're going to take all of these whys and all of these values and start coming up with a statement for yourself. Now, this is where I can't give you all the exacts, so you have to kind of go by what feels right for yourself. So the jump starter for these is you can start a statement with how I express my purpose in life is ... Or you could start it off with, in my life, I have ... I own ... I am ... or I have, Um, so let me just give you my example, and let's see. Whoop. Okay. So how I express my purpose in life is through my business, where I am creative, close to my family and friends, traveling, educating, and helping others change their lives by having fun, powerful conversations. So you can do a lot with that, and how I express that can be done a few different ways. But if I have a big decision in my life and I want to know if it's the right decision for me, then I come back to this statement and I say, does this fit? If it feels good and if it's a good fit, then I go forward, and I say, okay, well, let's explore this and see what happens. If it doesn't, then I know, okay, this just doesn't fit in my life and I don't have to worry about it. I just move on to the next thing. And this is why this work is really powerful, because you get to you now know what drives you. You now know, instead of thinking, oh, should I do this or shouldn't I do this? You now know, like, okay, I've gone through the work. I know how I show up in the world. I know what lights me up. I know what excites me. And I know where I can best, help others or fulfill, my purpose and drive in life. So if this has actually helped, I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear your own statements. And within that, I encourage people within the worksheet. Let me pull up the worksheet. Is it number 3? The worksheet, actually, I have you write it out 3 different times, at least 3 different times, because I believe that you just have to do a few different rough drafts. You just have to keep trying. And keep honing in on your own statement until it feels right, and then stay with it for a while. And then when life changes, or you have another epiphany in your life, and you're like, wow, that's really important to me, and I just realized that, you can add this in there, and you can change and shift this as your life grows and gets bigger. So I hope this has helped, guys. If this is something that's resonated with you, and you're looking to actually take this to the next step, or if you just want actually really personal step-by-step within this, I encourage you guys to go to my website and fill out the contact form on theartofchangingyourlife.com/next step. And within there, just pick a time or two that you'd actually like to have a conversation, and we can walk through this, or I can help you get, actually uncover that block in your life that's preventing you to start taking some of those next steps. So I hope this has helped, and I hope you guys, start taking those next steps. If there's any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day. Bye. Shelby. Okay, so I guess good. Whatever.